Hello, everybody, and welcome to another CPD conference call, this time with the lovely Betska K Burr. Welcome, Betska.
Thank you.
Just by way of a very brief introduction, because I don't want to steal any of your precious time, because it's a really important subject we're discussing tonight. Betska is also an IAPC&M master coach, and she's got over 6,000 coaching hours because she's been coaching longer than I have, I think, since 1995. So she's worked with individuals and groups and organizations in over 50 countries. So whether it's a government official, royalty, athletes, or TV stars, or ordinary people like myself, Betska has been there and helped. So she's also co-president of the Coaching and Leadership International Company in Canada, and has developed a massive amount of award-winning coaching mythologies. She's a pioneer, obviously, and she's developed a very specific scientific whole brain mind coaching method, which is why she talks about spirituality being so vital to the coaching process. So she's affectionately known as the Guru Coach by her students, and she's also an author. And she previously worked at the IAPC&M, so she knows all about the value of volunteering and paying it forward. So without further ado, Betska, we just want to hand over to you, listen to your lovely dulcet tones, because we know you're a TV star as well. We've watched the videos. So tell us in your own words why spirituality in coaching is so vital, because we're all eager to learn more from you, please.
Thank you. Dawn, have you started a recording?
Yes, I have.
Okay, great. Just because some people want to listen to this later.
Exactly.
And I'd also like to introduce co-president John Burr, who is on the call here today.
Yes, hello, John.
Yeah, John and I share the presidency here at CLI, and we're also married for 30 years this year. So bravo to us.
More coaching and romance, as Olivier was telling us before the call.
That was funny, yeah. Olivia was saying that, she got married because of coaching. So, hey, that's a really good branding piece right there.
Yeah.
All right, so thank you, Dawn. I've always enjoyed working with Dawn and hope to continue to do that in the future because she cares so much about this industry from a heart level. So that to me is vitally important. So thank you, Dawn.
You're welcome.
This topic, spirituality, why it's important in coaching, and in brackets I put vital, actually, because I really believe that it is. I believe that it is the future of coaching. But before I get into agendas and all that, I just want to say a big thank you to the International Authority, IAPC&M, for everything that they are doing. I believe that they are transforming the coaching industry. Everything from supporting coaches globally to not just be a coach, but to be a best coach. And I really think that that's vitally important. So, and even allowing me to come in and speak on spirituality just shows how open-minded they are. So I'm thrilled. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The agenda for our two webinars, basically we're going to talk about the definition of spirituality in coaching, the science of spirituality in coaching. We'll talk about a couple of case studies that I think you're going to find quite fascinating, who used their divine selves to reach extraordinary heights of business and life competency. They're fascinating stories. And we'll talk about the evolution of coaching from willpower coaching to divine coaching. That's a fascinating piece. We're going to learn how to confidently and courageously be the driver of positive change and growth for this industry. It does take courage to change an industry. And again, I believe that's what the IAPC&M is doing. And we want to talk about how to be on top of our game and shine even brighter as a star coach, that master coach. What is it going to take, not just now, but in the future? We've been having discussions about, with our students, for example, because we run a coach training school, how coaching is changing. How is the business of coaching changing? And as coaches, we need to really understand that. We just had a meeting with Don and David from the IAPC&M to have a discussion around what is changing and what do we need to change with it. And it's exciting, right, to see all of this change as an opportunity for growth. So we're running our students right now through a program on how to flow with the change, and I just love it. And then last but not least, we're going to provide you with 2 easy to use, award-winning coaching tools for helping your clients tap into their divine selves. And by the way, speaking of awards, I've just been honored with another major award. It'll be released sometime this month. I can't give you the name of the organization, but I've been voted as one of the top 100 management consultants in the world. I'm not saying this to boast, but I'm sharing this because I won this award because of the science of mind kinetics, which is what you're going to be hearing today. The science of mind kinetics in coaching. Mind kinetics is our brand. It's been in development since 1995. It's been an ongoing, loving exercise to create it and then promote it. And we have over 80 plus methodologies for coaching, and then another 40 for helping them clients to really pop receptors, as we say. So in total, it's 120 different methodologies. But I'm so happy to be able to share 2 of them. I don't know where we're going to go with this. I like to flow in my presentation. So if we're going to talk about one of those award-winning coaching tools, then we'll do it. If not, we'll do it next week, right? Maybe we could just work into the whole science and the case studies and have some fun exploring that. But sometime in these 2 webinars, I'm going to be demonstrating one, if not both, of these tools to help clients tap into their divine selves. So how exciting is that for you? And if you, excuse me, if you have any questions, by all means, just stop me and we'll consider this an informal presentation. I'm happy to answer as we go along.
And of course, there's the chat box as well.
Yes. I guess when someone types something in a chat box, I'll be able to see it. I'm
sure John will prompt you, so I don't think you need to worry about that. I don't want you to lose your flow.
Okay. So help me understand your businesses. What are your challenges as coaches? I'm asking because the tools I provide you with will help both you and your clients. You'll be able to self-coach using these, and you'll also be able to coach your clients, your children. Wow, you know. And if your dog will listen, you can try your dog too. Anybody.
They're probably more receptive than children, actually, because your children tend to say, don't do that, Mum. I know you're coaching.
That's right.
Don't try and coach me. I'm not one of your clients.
So help me understand. I know one of you said that coaching is not a business for you, but you're here more for your personal development, and that's cool too, and keeping on top of what's happening in the industry. But perhaps you can type in the chat box, what is your #1 challenge as a coach, if you are a coach, or if you are a parent, you know, perhaps you'd like to type in the chat box, what is your greatest challenge as a parent, or if you're not married, what is your challenge as an individual? What are your biggest challenges so that I can get a feel for your life?
I would say the biggest one for me, and I'll jump in to give everyone time to think about theirs and put it in the box, is I suppose it's that old adage, work-life balance. It's time management. You know, when you're working on your own business, you probably work harder than you've ever worked in your life, certainly harder than you were working when you were a paid employee for a corporate organization. But you work hard because it's your passion, because you believe in it, and become self-employed, a solopreneur, because it's giving you the lifestyle you want. And particularly when you work from home, the boundaries become very blurred, and so it kind of can feel like you're at work all the time. So it's not about working harder, it's about working smarter. So for me, my biggest challenge is having that work-life balance, because I love being at work, and my husband says it's like trying to prize a clam out of a shell when I'm in the office. But I'm also very mindful, so when I'm out of the office, I don't think about the office. But when I'm in the office, it's very hard for me to leave, because I think I've got a blog to write, I've got a client to see, I've got an invoice to produce, I've got the next chapter of my book to write. You know, there's so many exciting projects, because in order to stay on top, we need to diversify. So we can't just coach. Well, maybe some people are fortunate enough just to coach. But, you know, as a solopreneur, with a marketeer, with a salesperson, with a coach, etc., etc. So that is one of my challenges, and certainly it's a lot. I've got a lot in common with a lot of our practitioner coaches. But, you know, there's a whole other audience on this call, so feel free to share your questions. But perhaps that's one for you to start with, Betska. Get the ball rolling.
Yeah, so just who else would like to share their life challenges with me? Anybody?
Yep. Ganka says, as a parent, it's to give my kids the support that they need to reach their own personal level of happiness and fulfillment in their lives too.
Mm-mm.
That's a big responsibility, isn't it?
Yes. Thank you, Ganka. Wow. Yes. That's the most important role we have as parents, right? And as citizens. Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Ganka. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, the rest of you, you know, please feel free to share as we go along here.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So some of you, 2 of you have already identified your challenges, and those of you who are being silent about them, that's perfectly fine too. But I'm going to invite you to imagine, you know how peaceful you feel when you see a rainbow? It just, your whole being goes into that rainbow. It just brings you so much joy and so much love. So imagine that you're turning whatever your challenges are, imagine you're turning them all around and you're experiencing great results and return on your effort. Imagine that you are on top of your game and life, and so are others around you. Imagine client engagement, satisfaction, and success is amplified, that your client ROI is at an all-time high. In other words, the results your clients are getting from your coaching, the results that your children are receiving from your parenting, whatever, that your results are amazing. Imagine you are now a confident driver of positive change for yourself, for your people, for your organization. Wow. Imagine that you are indispensable in terms of sustaining success. Imagine that. Imagine all of that. It lifts our spirit, doesn't it, to even think that, yes, we have overcome our challenges and we have achieved a high level of success and peace. And yeah, the success brings peace. Now, I'd like to share my not so secret. In the early 90s, this is what I looked like. This looks like a guy, but I became bankrupt emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, and physically. And because John and I have been married for 30 years, he knows how bankrupt I became. It was not a good scene. And I felt just like this guy. And but my first coach, Jan Sweeney, kicked my butt. I was a stubborn mule, but she taught me how to go into my subconscious mind to find the unconstructive beliefs causing me so much pain. The pain was my brain was foggy. And this is, you know, way before I got into the coaching profession. My brain was very foggy. I had lower back pain. I could barely get out of a chair, and I was young. My physical pain was causing me great distress. So I went to my doctor and I asked her to help me. And she did all kinds of tests, and the tests came back, there's nothing wrong with you. And I said, well, the tests may say there's nothing wrong with me, but my head is foggy. And at that time, I was an executive in an international company. I made my way to the top, and my brain was fuzzy. I knew something was wrong. And why was my back pain so massive? And my behaviors were not normal for me. So the long and short of it was, Jan taught me the power of the subconscious mind, that something was going on in my belief systems that were causing the pain. If it was nothing physical, then what else was it? You see? Had to be emotional, spiritual. Something was going on for me. And she really kicked my butt, and I'm so grateful that she did, because she catapulted me into the world of subconscious coaching. In other words, the subconscious mind is the storehouse of all of our positive and negative beliefs, patterns, actions. So, but we're unaware of them. They're hidden. So she had to take me into that subconscious mind to find out, why was my brain fuzzy? What was the cause of my back pain? And she taught me some tools, and within 3 months, everything disappeared. Everything went away because I was able to clean out my subconscious mind. So for several years, when John and Tanya's our daughter, when they were asleep, I would work on my subconscious mind. And the gifts I discovered therein shocked me. I had no idea that I had so many limiting beliefs. I had no idea that my childhood abuse had created so many unconstructive patterns in my life, including I was having difficulty receiving love from John and giving love to John, receiving love from our daughter and giving love to our daughter. I couldn't do it because as a child, my parents didn't hug or kiss me. So you can imagine what's going on in my subconscious mind. Betska, you are not lovable. You see? So I had to clean all of that out. And that lower back pain, by the way, if any of you have studied the work of Louise Hay, she was a pioneer in the subconscious mind in many ways. She said that lower back pain was lack of support. Well, I felt I wasn't getting support from my mother, my father, my siblings. And yes, even though my husband's wonderful, for some reason I wasn't feeling I was getting support from him. But the bigger one was that I did not feel supported by God. So I had to work on that lack of support, because that's what lower back pain is. And then the head stuff is an entirely different issue. But I had to address the root cause of my mental fog, address the pain in my lower back and everything else, to find out what those negative beliefs were in my subconscious mind. And again, within 3 months, everything cleared up. So I was so grateful that I was very committed to healing myself with these methodologies, which we now teach globally, by the way. So per year, in those early days, I removed an astonishing 3,500 to 4,000 unconstructive belief systems in my subconscious mind. Negative beliefs about myself and others stuck in that subconscious mind. That may say, wow, that's a lot. Yeah, that's how much was there. And Win Wenger, who wrote the book, The Einstein Factor, it's just a book about Einstein. He said, it's our subconscious that holds the power of a Leonardo da Vinci or a Plato. So, yeah, I really believe that. So I learned how to love myself by connecting to my divine self. How? by taking a vacuum cleaner to my subconscious mind. So sometimes some of you feel like this, you know, like this woman is absolutely beautiful. So yes, that's what I did. I feel like I took a vacuum cleaner to my subconscious mind. And I learned how to love myself. I learned how to love my husband, my daughter, our students, to learn to love God again and to allow God to come back into my life, because I had kicked God out. Sometimes when we're corporate leaders, it's all about money and power and control. And I believe that this whack on the side of the head, well, it wasn't just a branch that fell in my tree. I believe God gave me the whole tree to wake me up, so that I would really wake up to what's important in life. Is it money? Is it power? Is it control? Is it fancy clothes and jewelry? Or is it really loving myself and connecting to my divine self? I'm sure that some of this story is resonating with many of you. Okay, so definition of spirituality. Spirituality in coaching means that we have the ability to connect our clients to their divine self for permanent positive change. Note that information, that phrase, permanent positive change. I really believe that if we're going to be great coaches, if we're going to be great parents, partners, brothers and sisters, leaders in corporate and government, in community, that by leading ourselves first and proving to ourselves that we can change permanently, then we are on our way. A cute little story is coming to my mind where I was working on myself religiously every night, working on myself. And then people started to knock on my door and said, well, Betska, I've noticed a real change in you. Can you help me? And I said, okay, sure, I can try. So people started to knock on my door over and over and over again. And I was literally coaching people. I didn't know what to call myself, but I was coaching people at the time, right? And so this flood of people through the door and everybody's really happy. And then John comes home from work one day and he says, Betska, he said, you're spending a lot of time with this work that you're doing, helping people. We have a mortgage to pay because I was doing it for free. I didn't know I could charge, because this was before coaching became an industry, you know? So it was really quite fascinating. So I thought, okay, I better start charging. So that's what I did. I don't even remember how much I was charging at the time. It was minimal, but it was helping to pay the mortgage. Okay, so continuing on here, because the God self has all the answers, our God self, our soul, our higher power, our universal energy, whatever language you want to use, it has all the answers. And when we can connect to that God self, the client is in a state of the highest frequency, which is love. And that's what we're going to be learning this time and then next week as well. How do we take our clients and ourselves into that love frequency? How do we do that? That love connection, continuing on with the slide, that love connection gives them access to root causes of challenges so that they can finally get rid of unconstructive patterns and beliefs and discover true innovative solutions to challenges and goals. The result, the client is in a state of no limitation. So, for example, we had a meeting with Dawn and David this morning, and I believe I manifested that. Maybe John manifested it because I've been working a lot on my limitations on a certain aspect of our business. But I had a major coaching session last week, and whoa, you know, now I am a lot more amenable. I am a lot more welcoming of high-tech ideas, for example. So we want to put ourselves into that love state. When we put ourselves into that love state, everything can pour in. Solutions can come pouring in, and we will take action. So again, spirituality in coaching means that we have the ability to connect our clients and ourselves to our divine self for permanent positive change. So what does this feel like? Well, like getting the biggest, most loving hug from your little girl or boy when you come home, or your husband or your wife. It's like having your pet kiss you, wag their tail, and look at you with total unconditional love, with adoring eyes. It's like being in the most peaceful place ever. It's like looking at a rainbow or sitting by the ocean and listening to the waves coming in. It feels like touching the hand of God. So when our client, or when we touch the hand of God in every coaching session, miracles happen. And Olivia was telling us that she heard me speak in Romania many years ago, and she got a copy of my book, The God in Coaching, The Key to a Happy Life. Notice the subtitle, second subtitle, I guess, when science and spirit merge in the coaching process. We achieve corporate wellness, loving families, and a healthier planet. Inner peace brings world peace. I really firmly believe that if every person on this planet, if they took a vacuum cleaner to their subconscious mind and cleaned out their negative thoughts, we would have a world, a more happier world, a healthier world, where politicians are actually kind to each other and they're working with each other, and we don't have bombs and missiles and all that stuff, and guns. We'd get rid of guns. Wow, what joy that would be. So that's my personal mission, is to help people find inner peace within their hearts, and thus I will do my little part to create world peace. So client challenges, when I look at some of our client challenges, and I'm going to connect this to divine self, in the workplace, there's a need to better manage our time. They tell me I would like to better communicate with my staff, or I need to learn how to network, or how can I be a strategic planner? I need to be more influential. How can I be a better leader? I keep getting bypassed for promotions. Whew. All kinds of stories there. 50% of us are on antidepressants. We're getting this from corporate and government right now. These are some of their major challenges. And on the home front, I would like to spend more time with my partner, with my children. We need more money to run our household. We are in debt. We don't talk like we used to. Maybe communication is shut down. I don't eat well. I don't exercise enough. I'm addicted to gambling, drugs, etc. These challenges, I'm bringing these up here because on the bottom of the slide it says these are patterns of the human spirit. So if we keep repeating all of these challenges, that means that this is a pattern, and we can use spirituality and coaching to break the pattern for permanent positive change. In fact, I believe it's the only way to do it. Well, willpower coaching can work sometimes, but it will work when it helps the client to connect to their divine self. Just want to be clear on that. I'll be talking more about willpower coaching versus spirituality and coaching as we move along here. But I just want to make the point that all of these things are patterns. We keep repeating them until we can make major breakthroughs in our thinking, in our subconscious mind. If those of you who have water, could we have a sip of water, please? It feels like we all need water. Thank you. There's the star. All right. So what are these? As I said, these are patterns of the human spirit. Now, willpower coaching rarely works. This is where we are relying on our clients to make shifts. From every coaching session we do, we just ask questions and we send them on their way, hoping that they are going to take action and make a shift. But our research has shown that that type of coaching rarely works, or will only work when there is a connection with their divine self, as I just mentioned, if the coach has that ability to do it. But divine connection coaching always works, always works. So whenever a client has a challenge or cannot achieve a goal, willpower will rarely permanently help them. They will go back to their habits. And as coaches, I think it's important that we help our clients to permanently change. As parents, we want to help our children to permanently change, right? We don't want them to stick with their bad habits. And one of the things I realized in all my research, is that we take on patterns from our parents. I had to make some major breakthroughs in generational patterns that I had taken on from my parents, my grandparents, great-grandparents, and so on. I had to work through all of that because they were roadblocks. They were stopping me, right? Those beliefs, generational patterns. And my family origin is from Ukraine, right, in the old Soviet Union. So just like in Romania, for example, where, we have been under some sort of communist rule, etc. Some of that did cause many challenges. Of course, there are many benefits to that kind of rule, but in my family, because we moved to Canada, there were some things that we needed to shift and change here. So continuing on, no matter what the challenge or goal, these issues are patterns that will continue to keep repeating for the client unless three things happen. Please take note of these. Number one, subconscious. The client uncovers the root cause of their pattern. So the fact that I was having trouble giving John and our daughter love, where did that start? Buried deeply in the electromagnetic field of the receptor is the age when the pattern started. I'm going to talk about receptors in a moment, just very lightly, because it's a big science. If you want to read more, you can purchase the book or study with us. It's your choice. But I had to go back into my subconscious mind and find the exact root cause age, the exact age when my negative belief started. And when we can do that, that's when we start to open up. We start to release the pattern. And in the subconscious mind, the client pops the receptors on the cells in charge of their pattern, erasing the negative beliefs around the memories of when the pattern began for permanent positive change. So the switch has to happen at that subconscious level. And that's what we mean by divine connection coaching and why it always works. And again, I'll talk about cells in a moment. And we must also help a client to connect to their superconscious. And at that moment, we stream in solutions to the challenge from our superconscious or our God self. And this is always miraculous. And all the methodologies that we've developed for divine connection coaching simulate how Einstein used to think. You know, he was a spiritual practitioner, and whenever he had a problem, he would sit in his chair and he would put his hands on his knees and put a rock in each hand. And then he would close his eyes. He would put his problem into his wisdom eye, and he would wait for images, symbols, objects, colors, feelings, sounds to come in from his superconscious to his right brain. And that's how he developed all the genius things he did. He was connecting to his divine connection. Now, he spent hours doing that. I'm sure he would be very happy to have mind kinetics now, because one of our methodologies, which I'll introduce you to, is called The Brainwalk, www.thebrainwalk.com, free of charge to the world. Within 10 minutes, you simulate how Einstein used to think. You develop a solution, come up with an innovative solution to your challenge, and you make breakthroughs in your subconscious mind. So please go and try it after the call. Not now, but after. So coaches are indispensable. Parents are indispensable. Leaders are indispensable when they become whole brain thinkers. We call this slide the use of our 5 parts of our brain mind, pentalateral thinking. I had to give that a name because it didn't exist. So we want our clients to use their left brain in every coaching session, or our children or staff, right? We want them to use their left brain, their right brain, conscious mind, subconscious mind, and superconscious. Again, definition of subconscious mind is where our habits, patterns, and beliefs are stored, positive and negative, right? We want to be able to find the negative ones, kick them out, replace them with positive ones. And the positive beliefs, we want to amplify them, make them even stronger. And then superconscious, of course, this is where we complete our divine connection, because we stream in solutions, just like Einstein did, from our genius, from our God self, our universal energy, life force energy, whatever you want to call it. Okay. So this is very important for clients to understand, for everyone to understand, that a belief in our conscious mind must be congruent with that same belief in our subconscious mind. Only then can we move forward in a sustainable way. Why? Because 95 to 99% of our daily life is operated by the subconscious mind, by the beliefs in our subconscious mind. So we need to know what's there. So for example, we might say to ourselves, yeah, I'm a good communicator with my husband or with my children or with my clients. I'm a good communicator. But if I was to take you into your subconscious mind, because you want to double check, your subconscious mind could say, no, you don't. You don't believe that you're a good communicator. On a conscious level, you do. But your subconscious mind is saying, no, you don't, no, you don't, no, you don't. So we need to know what that belief is in the subconscious mind, the negative, turn it into a positive, and then the conscious mind and subconscious mind have the same beliefs, and then we can move forward in a sustainable way. So let's take a moment and talk about receptors. Candace Pert, Bruce Lipton, these are all giants, neuroscientists, cell biologists, and there are many people on the same bandwagon. But Candace Pert said on the bottom, by learning to bring your awareness to past experiences and conditioning, memories stored in the very receptors of your cells, you can release yourself from these blocks, this stuckness. So we know through these scientists that we have between 50 and 100 trillion cells in our body. In other words, they have no idea how many we have, right? There's between 50 and 100 trillion, that's a big span. And I suspect there are more. And the scientists have told us, the lab scientists have told us that we have some cells that look after our kidneys, our eye function, our hearing, our heart function, and so on. And then many of those cells look after our thoughts. So this is a breakthrough in coaching, isn't it? That we have cells in charge of our thoughts. So let's say this is a cell that's in charge of loving ourselves. And we aren't loving ourselves enough, and that's why we're not eating well, we're not exercising, we're not meditating every day, whatever, right? We're not really looking after ourselves. Then that means on this is a cell membrane, and sitting on that cell membrane are receptors. They let oxygen and glucose and energy into the cell, or they won't. And if we are having trouble loving ourselves, these receptors have become constricted. They're blocked. And as a result, they're not letting in oxygen and glucose and phytochemicals. And as a result of that, we cannot think clearly. And so with divine style coaching, all these methodologies that we've developed, we tickle the antenna. If the antenna that sits on the receptor. If we are not thinking clearly, the receptor has a negative frequency, as does the antenna. So our job as coaches is to tickle this antenna to change its frequency, which then to a positive frequency, which then changes the frequency of the receptor, the vibration. You know, this is quantum physics stuff, right? And then when you do that, then the oxygen and glucose, the receptor allows the oxygen and the glucose in food to get into that cell. And as a result, the client can think clearly. They stream in solutions from their God self, from their divine self. That's how the divine connection takes place. Questions on this? I know this can get quite complicated for some people, so just curious.
It does remind me a little bit about Dr. Bradley Nelson's book, The Emotion Code.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, it's the first time I've read a book and thought, wow, I understand what quantum physics is, and it was such an enjoyable book, couldn't put it down. And when you said, you know, you had 3,500 to 4,000, you know, negative self-limiting beliefs, it's amazing the work that he did. It kind of reminded me of his clients about just how deep we bury this at a cellular level, and how it manifests in tennis elbow, back pain, etc. So I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah. What was the name of the book again?
It's The Emotion Code by Dr. Bradley Nelson. And he deals with a very strong human grade magnet.
Oh, right.
He runs it from the top of your head down your spine 3 times. That's essentially how he does his work. Releasing the, you know, it's the vibrations and releasing things very deep. But you have to read this stuff to believe it.
I know exactly. Well, you know, what's interesting is that when I started working with Jan, my first coach, and I was shocked at what was happening to me. Just shocked. I was shocked. I thought, wow, you know, I need to know more about this. I want to be able to help myself. And so I took her course, and of course now we teach, we've developed, you know, so many tools based on that original technology, if you will. As soon as we understand it, humans can embrace it. And that's what we've done. I mean, Einstein made it so difficult, but here at CLI, we made it very easy for people to pop those receptors in every given coaching session. And this is why I believe this is where the future of coaching is going to go. Okay, so from a mind kinetics perspective, when we can't think clearly to achieve a goal or overcome a challenge, our receptors are constricted, preventing food and energy from entering the cell to fully feed the cell. Therefore, we are not connecting to our divine selves. The cells are blocked. But if we are connected to our divine selves, we have the answers to our challenges and goals. Very simply put, right? So if we want to help our kids, you know, our daughter has, you know, I started coaching her when she was 7, and I continue to be her coach, and she's 29 this year. It's just, you know, we should be making sure we have the tools to help our kids, and we can use these types of methodologies when they're about 5. Although we did have a student from Shanghai, China, who started using them on his son when he was 3. Then it worked a little bit. he was rambunctious. So why are we in this business? We are in this business to create permanent positive change for our clients. Otherwise, I say, why do it? I don't want to coach people and give them mediocre results. I want them to connect to their divine selves for that permanent positive change. And if we don't, I'm going to make a very strong statement here, and if we don't create permanent positive change for our clients on a spiritual level, we are stealing money from our clients by not giving them great results. I noticed on Dawn's picture, she's got a picture of the Buddha there. And you know, the spiritual teachers will teach us we should not steal from people at anything, you know, physical, emotional, spiritual. We should not steal from people. So I really am praying for our industry that we help clients get very high results from our coaching, so that you know, we are giving humanity what humanity deserves to receive at this point in time. So let's shoot for the gold. Yeah, we cannot lie to ourselves anymore. The world's in a mess. We focus on the economy when we should be focused on our spirituality, because it is our spirituality which brings us in eternal happiness. When we were born, we came in with nothing, just like a naked little body, right? And when we leave this plane, we can't take anything with us except our higher levels of consciousness, our high levels of awareness. If we are more compassionate, loving, respectful for all beings, including animals and self, that's what we take with us. We cannot take this physical body. So this is why the coaching industry must change the game. We must shoot for that gold, take our clients to permanent levels of higher levels of consciousness. And again, while willpower coaching may take us there, spiritual coaching will definitely take us there. Connecting our clients to their divine selves is what gives them incredible results. I want to talk about a few, this is a lovely story, and then I'm going to close off with a couple of my client stories. This is a story of a treasure hunt using the golden shovel. The treasure I went searching for was my soul, not knowing what I'd find within the deepest of the human mind. If the truth is within and the answers are there, then a self-excavation is what I dare do to cut through the crap and dig down to the core, seeking to discover if there really is something more. So I took my inner shovel, which is what I did all those years ago, and began to unearth all the rubble within that's been trapped there since birth. Wow. Dredging through my childhood fossils still in control and the ruins of my feelings that have taken their toll, I plowed through the rage, the shame, the grief, and fear buried deep. Armed with the courage to take on a pile of pain that steep, I felt no price was too high to pay for this treasure. For if there was gold in my veins, I'd take any measure. So I sifted through. When the shovel hit my core, I had unearthed a treasure chest with an unlocked door. Then I peered inside and saw a heart, and that's when I knew there is nothing but pure love at the core of me and you. But the door to one's heart must be open to see the love inside of you and inside of me. For when people are cruel, arrogant, and meek, we're cut off from the love within, which makes us act weak. That was me many years ago. Yes, I went hunting for treasure, and that's what I found, that love is the answer to everything profound. To be a person of soul, sound, body, mind, and soul, the treasure within is what each of us must find. Isn't that beautiful? I didn't write it. I don't know who did. Someone sent it to me, and I just loved it, so I thought I would share it. So the treasure that this person is talking about is our divine selves connecting to our heart. I'd like to share, again, some case studies for the next few minutes. This is of a young man. I just finished coaching him. He came to me when he was 19. He had smoked marijuana and ended up in an insane asylum for 2 months. The psychiatrist, he had a psychotic attack. The psychiatrist put him on pharmaceutical drugs with no emotional or spiritual support. And what his problem was, and Robbie is not his real name, he was frozen. The psychotic attack rendered him so that he could not focus on anything for more than 5 to 10 minutes. And this was sad. Why wasn't therapy healing him? And it's because Robbie had lost his angel. When we do drugs, we lose our angel. And would willpower coaching bring back his angel? Maybe, maybe not. The frequency is too low. Only a spiritual type of coaching brought back his angel. And if only I had recorded that session when he got his angel back, it was amazing. And in just 9 sessions, he regained his ability to focus and is now back in school. So how cool is that? This is what I'm talking about, divine connection coaching. Very, very special. 19-year-old. He attracted me for a reason, so that he would really connect to his heart again, because he had lost that connection. How did Mind Kinetics do it? Well, Mind Kinetics finds the root cause of the cellular shutdown, when that cell shut down, and then quickly opens the gate for cellular recovery. The opportunity for the renewed flow of energy, of positive thought, happens because the client connects to their divine power in the electromagnetic field, and this is the fastest healing route. With his frequency raised, he got his angel back. Applause, eh? Applause for Robbie. Just incredible. And how about normal clients, you might say? Well, as mentioned, any inability to achieve a goal or overcome a challenge requires the client to raise his frequency in order to connect to his divine self to get solutions. For example, if an executive is having trouble communicating with his or her staff or managing time, their receptors are blocked, and she cannot connect to the divine self for solutions and permanent positive change. Emotions and fears block him. Therefore, they stay stuck. So any challenge means that they are not, if they're not getting solutions, they're disconnected from their divine self. Here's a wonderful testimonial of a normal executive. I do most of my coaching is executive coaching. And this manager said, my life has been a struggle with depression since I was a teenager. I've had 30 years of therapy on and off with psychologists and psychiatrists. Nothing really made a significant difference. I've been on antidepressants since I was 20 years old. I had come to accept that I had to live out my life, wishing it would end soon. Wow. I believe in reincarnation, and suicide was not an option anymore. I was addicted to gambling, cigarettes, drinking in pubs, and went through my share of bad relationships. I gave everything but got very little or nothing back. The last relationship was the worst. I was raped every night. I had a professional executive job that paid well, my own house, car, everything. I worked for it all, and I earned it. I really was a mess when I met Betska and was hanging by a thread in keeping things together. In fact, her doctors have had her on the highest form of antidepressants possible, and she was getting worse. Mind Kinetics brought me to where I never thought was possible. I am happy. I love myself now. I value myself. It gave me a reason to live, to exist with meaning. The brainwalk is an awesome tool. It really helped me to see clearly when I was angry or frustrated. I no longer allow others to abuse me. I'm not angry all the time. I even dropped one of my antidepressants. I no longer gamble. She was spending $500 a day on her addiction, or allow myself to get into bad relationships. I reconnected with my creative side, something that was lost and gone. And this was this client's divine connection. She literally went to heaven. She said, the moment when I knew I was loved, the moment when I began to love myself, I knew it was another dimension, heaven-like. The angels were on either side of the opening. There was not one bit of negativity in the whole place. It was euphoric. This was a gift from God. I was blessed. It took me a while to register when it happened. I felt special, and more than that, I felt like I mattered. I was loved. And just as important to the universe as the smallest ladybug or the biggest mountain, I loved myself for the first time ever, and I was humbled too. This leader took her leadership competency scores from 600 to 1,000, 10 of them, and 5, her score went from 133 to 600. Phenomenal return on investment. So willpower was not helping her to overcome her addictions and depression. She had all kinds of other types of coaching and training and therapy. Coaching with the divine element is what gave her a life again. So I'm going to stop. 1 hour is up, and we'll finish the slides next week. And more stories, more wonderful stories coming next week. And again, I'm going to share 2 of these beautiful tools. Now that I know what some of your challenges are and what you'd like to do, I think I'm going to give you more than what I had anticipated giving, just to help you out. But in the chat box, if you could type in, what was your greatest learning from today's session? What moved you today? What helped you to connect to your divine connection today? I'd love to hear from you.
Thank you, Betska. Well, a lot of what you said also reminded me of another book. You can tell I'm an avid book reader, like a lot of coaches. You know, we're on a permanent, well, we're perpetual students, aren't we? We're always thirsty, not just to improve our own lives, but the more well-read we are, you know, it helps us be better, well-rounded coaches for our clients as well. So it reminded me of that lovely book, The Monk That Sold His Ferrari.
Oh, yeah, right on.
You know, when you were digging with the golden shovel, and for him it was going to the river, to the lake, the blue lake, and finding the rose. And yeah, it's just an awesome story. Yeah, and I love quotes as well. So it reminded me at some part when you were talking about mortality, you know, to have a good death. S.N. Goenka, the leader of Vipassana, says, you know, to have a good death, you have to have lived a good life. And if you've touched people's lives and lived a good life, which a lot of coaches do, you have no fear of death and reincarnation or whatever it is that you believe. You know, it's just another chapter. So really lovely. And I love the vacuum cleaner. I mean, I tend to think of, because I'm a bit of a detox queen with coaching, and whether it's physical detox in the kitchen, you know, getting rid of all the junk food because I'm a health coach, or detoxing the mind from technology. That vacuum cleaner, detoxing your mind, is what's needed in many cases, because that's where the stuckness comes from. And then once you've cleared that, you can breathe in fresh oxygen and feed your, you know, blood at a cellular level and so on. But before you leave, and you're quite right, we've had our hour and we've got another hour to enjoy your company. But what questions, if anybody, does anybody, or comments that anybody want to leave as a parting shot with Betska, please?
And you can unmute yourselves if you'd like to speak, or if it's faster in the chat box, whatever you wish. What was helpful today for you as a coach, a parent, a leader, for yourselves? What did you get out of today? I'd like to know. If you could share, please.
Maybe everybody's a bit shy.
Oh, here comes Genka. Okay.
Yes, it was the love. And the inner peace and the importance of our inner self.
Thank you. Thank you very much. How about you, Rebecca? What was good for you today?
While we're waiting for Rebecca, if I may.
Yeah.
Again, and there's several in the chat box. The key for me really is always that, you know, that it's done with coaching. So it's all about the client, and it kind of is rocket science, but it's something that everybody can learn, and everybody can walk through it with their clients and help their clients in this way. So it's not about having to go to therapy or anything else, which years ago I experienced it didn't help me do anything. But I know how powerful coaching has been for me, and mind kinetics coaching, how powerful that's been for me over the years. So for me, that's always the key, that again, it's coaching. It's what and how questions on a rocket science level.
Thank you. And Rebecca says, I love this session. Thank you so much, Betska. This is something I've believed in. I'm in the process of relaunching my coaching business with a spiritual emphasis. So this has resonated with me massively and has given me just the encouragement I need at the perfect time. Talk about synchronicity. I look forward to the next session. And Teddy in, I think it's Bulgaria, says, thank you, Betska. I'm working on marrying the concepts of spirituality with my business. What would you advise and how can I blend them together, please?
Well, Teddy, I invite you to come next week as well, because we'll wrap up, we'll look at more slides, more of this information, and then I'm going to give you some tools that you'll be able to implement into your coaching business immediately.
Good. I mean, that was one of the questions I was going to be, because you've really taken us up quite high, and I want to know, right, what are the magic questions? How do you do this? How do we, use this methodology to get the kind of fantastic results you've had with your clients? So on that note, we'll thank you for your generosity of spirit and time and sharing. Thank you everybody for all your lovely questions and encouragement. And we'll see you and no doubt some more people, because I've had messages can't get on the line for whatever reason. So I'm obviously going to make the recording available, and hopefully people can catch up and then join us for session 2, same time, same day next week. But have a lovely day, because I believe your day is starting in Canada, isn't it, Betska?
Yes, it is. Yes, it's early morning.
And thank you for your technical support, John. Have a lovely day, and wherever you are in the world, take away the love, and we'll see you in a week's time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining me today. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Bye.